David creates this very large canvas known as the Oath of the Horatii. Now, David believed that the subject matter should teach a lesson and pass noble deeds of the past into the consciousness of the present. This is very similar to what we see from Kaufman and the mother of the Gracchi. In this painting, what you see is the Horatii brothers, who were 3 champions chosen to fight for Rome in a series of 3-on-3 combats for the honor of Rome against Alba. What's happening is this is known as Champions Combat. You have 2 massive armies, thousands of people, tens of thousands of people. Rather than bashing them together and killing large quantities of either side, you pick a few champions from each side and they'll have a smaller battle, in this case 3-on-3. From a resource perspective, it makes a lot of sense. I'm not wasting my troops if I don't need to. And as long as both armies agree to whatever the outcome is, well, it works for everyone. Back to the painting. Here, what's happening is they are swearing to win or die for Rome, swords held high by their father. So, the oath that they're giving is going to be one similar to, we will come back with our shields are on it. The Spartan idea that you come back victorious, holding your shield, or dead in little bits on your shield. The shield used to bring back the little bits. Now, this deals with the ideals of sacrifice and honor so cherished in Paris at the time. The women depict emotions of sorrow at the men's potential sacrifice. And this seems odd because typically you would see the loved ones being stoic and strong for their brave hero husbands. But at the time, women were thought of as hysterical and over-emotional, and therefore they are depicted this way. Not really a modern idea, not one that we're comfortable with today. And yet we're seeing it because, of course, this is the 18th century and it's a different time. Now, the work was not intended as a revolutionary statement. To the contrary, it was commissioned by the royal family. And the work is said to have given rise to patriotic fervor in France, but that's kind of unlikely since it would have been accessible to almost no one outside of the royal family until much later, at least until the royal family is removed from power. Now, in it, we see an interesting mix. We have the classical imagery. So they're wearing Roman armor or some form of it. Everyone's dressed that way. The architecture indicates it. Interestingly, the swords, however, are a whole nother story. If you look at the swords, they actually are 3 different forms, none of which would serve in Rome at the time. This is the artist going out finding swords that he can find available and using whatever's at hand. Not terribly uncommon. It is a very Baroque composition. We have the dramatic lighting cutting across. We have our heroes facing away from the light so that we focus on the swords and on the father. You'll see he's wearing bright red, as are one of the soldiers. And that is to draw our eye across between these two. The women in the background are just that. They're in the background. We're not supposed to pay attention to them much. We're focusing on the Oath of the Horatii, not on the response of their loved ones. And this is very similar, if I were to flip it, to Caravaggio's Calling of St. Matthew, where Jesus has his face facing into shadow, away from the light behind him, looking at St. Matthew. We see the same thing here with these brothers. We also see a fairly ambiguous background. Now, we have the Roman architecture, but there's nothing behind it. We have no idea if this is a home, a temple, a government building, or just a ruins that they happen to walk into. Now, these powerful images are going to be important to David, and you can see how, while in this case it wasn't meant for propaganda, it could definitely be used for those purposes if it were done for someone other than the royal family.